Good afternoon. Right now in Colorado, landlords can raise a tenant's rent to whatever amount they'd like.
There is a new bill, though, that could allow cities and counties to limit a landlord's power. Many renters are already struggling to make monthly payments as things stand, with Rent.com saying the average one-bedroom in Denver is nearly $2,100 a month presently. 9 News reporter Angela McCall spoke with a renter who says control would be a relief.
In a mobile home park with multiple lots for sale, one resident says it's a sign of a need for change.
The middle class is being squeezed out of affordable living.
Rosie Poor has lived in Federal Heights for more than 5 years, and she's seen her lot rent increase by over $250 since then.
I don't want to have to rent out a room in order to afford to live in a mobile home, for God's sake.
She's hoping a new bill could give her peace of mind.
Well, it would give me the ability to plan for my future. You know, I never know from year to year how much I'll be able to save.
A newly introduced bill would overturn a ban on rent stabilization. If passed, it would allow municipalities to come up with their own rent control ban.
A few greedy corporate landlords are making themselves rich off of working families.
Carmen Medrano is the executive director of United for a New Economy.
It means that parents don't have to go to bed worried whether they're going to be able to make rent and have a roof over their heads.
Rose hopes the bill will pass to eventually provide some relief to her and her neighbors.
It's a huge problem, and we need to be able to budget our meager incomes to reflect the realities of the situation.
Angela McCall, 9 News.
The Apartment Association opposes that bill. They argue rent control doesn't work. They say it has an unintended consequence of creating less housing and higher prices. The association added that Colorado should instead focus on creating more housing units.
We're also now less than 2 weeks from the end of the emergency SNAP benefits put in place during the pandemic. That means families who have relied on them will lose hundreds of dollars starting March 1st. Officials with the Food Bank of the Rockies say they're anticipating a jump in needs, so they're planning ahead. They'll be buying as much as 20% more food each month. However, the food bank adds they're already spending more than triple what they were before the pandemic. So any donations right now would be helpful.
Well, that impact won't just be felt at human food banks. The Colorado Pet Pantry is also anticipating more need for taking care of pets. You can't buy pet food with SNAP benefits, but the Pet Pantry says they expect a domino effect to occur. It's being described as a hunger cliff. Less money to buy human food means they'll have even less money to pay for pet food, and that could result in families having to relinquish their pets. And that's what the Pet Pantry wants to try to help and avoid.
Colorado Pet Pantry helps with food and supplies. So if, we always look at it as, the animal shelters have told us that it costs about $500 to rehome an animal. And we say, well, hey, keep that $500 for animals that are truly homeless. And if we can help with a donated bag of food to keep an animal in a family, that's a win-win.
The pantry says that they, as well as local shelters and local human food banks, will all need support so that people and animals can both be fed.
We started out this year pretty rough. We are seeing a massive decrease in adoptions and our applications coming through for dogs.
The Broomfield nonprofit Mile High Lab mission rescues around 800 dogs each year, but right now that's all on hold. Not only are adoptions slowing, but as you heard, the group doesn't have enough volunteers to foster dogs, and donations are down. So they need to raise money to care for the many dogs they already have. If you can help, the Mile High Lab mission wants to hear from you.
A civil rights group wants a new state law. This after claims from a black couple in El Paso County that they've been targeted with racist attacks. People rallied at the state capitol today for Courtney and Nicole Mallory. The NAACP called for the passage of the CAREN Act, and that would make racially motivated 911 calls illegal. Here with more is Jeremy Hohola.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we want is justice. And when do we want it?
A rally as the story involving Colorado farmers Courtney and Nicole Mallory gets more attention.
What me and my wife have been going through, I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
The two say racist neighbors have vandalized their farm, mutilated their livestock, and called 911 on them with false claims.
It is not right. El Paso County, let the Mallorys down.
The Mallorys have been arrested on felony stalking charges themselves. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office refutes any wrongdoing and calls the case a property dispute.
I'm confident our actions and responses to the calls and complaints in the Yoder community have been objective and based on facts and law.
It's ironic that we're standing here for farmers today.
The local NAACP and other groups are now calling for Colorado to pass a CAREN Act. It stands for Caution Against Racially Exploitative Non-Emergencies.
It works to criminalize racially motivated emergency calls.
It's also a play on the name Karen, now considered an insult mentioned in headlines across the country. The bill would make it illegal for people with racial bias to call 911 on people of color.
In no way should one crazy white woman be able to weaponize an entire county and an entire police force against two black people in Colorado.
In San Francisco, the city was among the first governments to pass its own CAREN Act in 2020.
We need to pass the CAREN Act in the state of Colorado. I am personally going to be leading the charge for that legislation with our legislators and whoever else is behind me.
The NAACP says it's already in contact with 2 lawmakers who are considering sponsoring the bill this legislative session. As for the Mallorys, their story continues to gain a lot of attention online, with people donating $200,000 to their cause. Their attorney says the El Paso County Sheriff's Office has only released a fraction of the evidence. Back to you.
I know there's much more to come on this, and you'll be staying on top of it. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yep.
Like personally and within my friend group, I know that I've been more aware of my friends' emotions and trying to find like little things.
Important words from a teenager following a new CDC report that shows 57% of teen girls in the U.S. felt persistently sad or hopeless in 2021. It's double that of boys. 30% of them admit they were seriously considering taking their own lives. And now that we know that, we have to figure out how to bring those numbers down. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon spoke with Robbie's Hope, a local nonprofit that's connecting with teens on mental health.
We see so many of our friends and just people in our like personal close lives struggling with that, and it's just too many people.
Teen girls are experiencing record high levels of violence, sadness, and suicide risk, according to the CDC.
Personally, I do struggle with having a conversation when I'm feeling down.
To Lakewood High School seniors Marin McKinney and Kennedy Kerr, these statistics are painful to hear, but not surprising.
I just try to be more aware of those around me, and if I see something, I say something, and just check up on those and my friends.
Both Marin and Kennedy believe they can make a change just by starting a conversation with their friends and encouraging them to reach out when they're struggling.
Hey, how are you doing today? Like, I noticed something's off, and if you want to talk about it, I'm always here.
We need to teach our kids much earlier that it's okay to have human emotions, to not let things progress to such a deep level.
Kari Eckert is the executive director of Robbie's Hope, a local nonprofit dedicated to suicide prevention.
Particularly as a mom who has lost a child to suicide, we should be scared.
Her son Robbie took his own life in 2018. She says parents cannot wait until their children are feeling depressed or hopeless before reaching out to them.
I think with Robbie's Hope, we have learned kids are willing to have these conversations. Oftentimes it's the adults that are fearful of them.
Kennedy wants her peers to know there should never be shame when asking for support.
It is okay to not be okay, and it is okay to reach out and ask for help.
The CDC says it's time to invest in schools as a vital lifeline to help struggling youth. Robbie's Hope says they are helping to support legislation in Colorado that would help teachers assess their students' mental health in the hopes of connecting struggling teens to resources.
Yeah, the teachers are on the front lines. They have a lot on their plates. So it'd be great if we can get young people together to talk about the things that maybe are uncomfortable to talk about at home.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Robbie's Hope is doing. Like, you're right on the right track there, Kim. And Kari was telling us today, you know, we put so much on schools. We ask them to do so much for us all the time. And this is another ask. If we're going to do that, we're going to have to give them some resources to do that.
Yeah, give them some support to make a change. Those numbers are pretty startling. So we've got to do it. And they're doing the work. All right. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
Coloradans can get a new in-depth look at one of our state's most infamous murder mysteries tonight on Dateline. Janelle Matthews, just 12 years old, when she vanished from her home in Greeley in 1984. Her body wasn't found and no one was arrested for 35 years. This past Halloween, though, a jury convicted Stephen Pankey of her murder. Well, tonight at 8 o'clock, Dateline takes you through the investigation and trial with interviews from detectives, the Weld County District Attorney, and Janelle's parents.
Alarms sounded at the Suncor refinery once again today. We've learned what went wrong in the latest leak.
Looks like a great weekend for pond hockey, and you can see one of the largest tournaments in the country right here in Colorado.